All right, welcome back. It's time for us to talk relationship, and then this morning on relationship segment, I've been joined by Michael Mensah, who is a relationship expert. He's a counselor. He's also one of our co-hosts of Farm Life, and he's here this morning to help us understand pragmatic ways to make our marriages work. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
It's good to see you.
Always good to see you too.
Yeah. Okay. So how have you been? I mean, how has the last few weeks been? We've not had you for a while.
Yeah, it's been good by God's grace, and we've been managing the various dynamics. Now it looks like the restrictions are getting less and less.
Yes.
But we still have to be mindful of taking the necessary precautions. Yeah. So it's been cool. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So let's get right into it. What are some of the pragmatic ways in which we can spice up our marriages, make our marriages work, relationships work, and so on?
All right, so today I hope we can look at 7 within the time we have. But before we look at the 7, I want to start one pragmatic thing by playing a little game. I call it the numbers game. So you put your hand beside you.
Okay.
When I say draw, you draw it out.
Okay.
The first person to add the 2 numbers that come out correctly is the winner. Okay. So at the count of 3, draw. 1, 2, 3, draw.
6.
6. Okay, let's go together.
Okay.
Okay, at the count of 2, draw. 1, 2, 3. 2. The last time, at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, draw. 6. All right. So that's just.
I'm busy doing the calculation in my head. Okay.
Yes. So I said 6, and then at the point we got 7, and then I think we got 2 or so.
Yeah.
So we want to see if we can look at 7 pragmatic ways to make our marriages thrive, exciting, wonderful. So the first thing I would say is that know yourself.
Know yourself.
Rule number 1, know yourself. You know, we often carry baggages we are not aware of. We often do things we don't know what makes us do them. Everybody is a creature of first his nature, second his nurturing or her nurturing where they've been brought up, third the nest, the environment in which they grew up in, fourth the network, the people they are connected to, fifth their negotiation and other skills that they've acquired, and then seventh the noble or ignoble man or woman that they are. So we are all creatures of our environment and of our nature. So oftentimes people may be very good when it comes to the job they do or one aspect of their lives, but they do not know themselves. So when it comes to relationship, which is the closest form of engagement, they don't show up properly.
Okay.
And so they cause pain to their spouses or their partners, and their partners will be wondering, what is all this about?
Yeah.
So on the outside, everybody says, this guy is a wonderful guy, or this lady is so amazing. Yes, the one who is up close is struggling and being sophisticated. Well. Yes.
Yeah.
So the first key element in these ways of surviving and thriving is one, know yourself. Be a student. Know your triggers. Know your nuances. Know the things that make you who you are. What makes you happy? What makes you sad? What makes you angry?
Okay.
What you can stand, what you can't stand, what blows your fuse, what makes you calm. It's important to know ourselves. And you can know that by finding out, first reading, taking tests like temperament tests and stuff that help you to know yourself. And also asking those close to you, your siblings, your parents, and let them give you an honest assessment. If they say you are too some way, probably 9 out of 10 you are. If they say you are too haughty or too arrogant or you are too tibor, or those are all ways you get to know yourself.
Okay.
And that's the first key to making you have a thriving relationship.
What's next?
The second one, know your spouse.
Okay.
You know, you are married to one, or supposed to. If you are in the marriage by the ordinance, you are entitled to one. When the other one sometimes is potentially polygamous because they can have more than one, but I want to stick more and talk to the element of having one spouse.
Yeah.
So the second thing is that know your spouse. You can't live with somebody you don't know. And you don't know somebody on the superficial level. When you're courting or whatever brought you together before the marriage, you'd think you know the person. But the reality check always comes in when you get married. When the honeymoon phase is over, when the excitement is gone, and now everybody begins to settle, and then the snoring starts, and then the grinding starts, and then the coming home late from work starts. You need to understand who you are married to. How does she express what makes her happy? What makes her sad? How does she, what are her mood swings? What is it that he can't stand? So be a student of your spouse. Get to understand how they reflect, how they react, how they respond. And when you do that, because you're married to one, don't compare him or her to somebody and say, this is how men behave. There's a general format, but everybody is custom made.
Yeah.
So get to know who your spouse is, how she relates, what makes her happy. You can even get to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. Everybody has them in various proportions. Some try to conceal them to look good during the courtship. But in marriage, you need to discover these things. You need to drill down. You need to understand how then to go on living with your spouse. You get me? And that's key.
So know yourself, know your spouse.
Yes.
What's next?
And the next point is acknowledge your differences. Even twins. I am privileged to have the opportunity of having twin sons.
Okay.
They are zygotic, that means they are not identical.
Okay.
Yes. But even with them, they are different. Their temperaments are different. One would reflect differently, one will react differently. There's the one who tell you why he needs this, the other one who will come and give you the fine print of everything. So their temperaments are different, their expressions are different. So you must understand that even if you share the same kind of temperaments, you still will have differences. And often why relationships and marriages don't thrive is because people don't tend to appreciate and acknowledge the differences that they have. If, you know, we all wear lenses. Somebody wears a blue lens, somebody wears a green lens, and somebody wears a yellow lens. And so we see things through the color of our lenses. And so when we look at like this beautiful morning sky, and I'm wearing a yellow lens, I say, oh, the sky is yellow.
Look yellow, yeah.
And then you would say the sky is blue because you're wearing a blue lens. So if you can't accept the fact that he's wearing a blue lens, I'm wearing a yellow lens, and so let's find a point of convergence, then we'll have issues. And so it's very important to acknowledge the differences. Maybe you are an early riser, maybe he is not. Maybe you are the kind who drives very gently, and maybe he's the kind who is very boisterous at driving. You need to acknowledge that. So you are not being comfortable sitting in his vehicle. You need to acknowledge that. And that becomes the beginning of the thriving. Because then you realize that maybe he is a little slower than you, or is a little more laid back when it comes to decision making or taking an initiative. You don't go insult him and say, oh, Charlie, you are too dull. What kind of man is this? What kind of man am I married to? You are sounding insulting. So when you acknowledge the differences, then the next thing is learning to thrive under that. So it's still the same point. And then there are 4 things I often say about learning to acknowledge and then what you should do. I call it the foot, F-O-O-T. 1, you must learn to forgive. Because in your differences, things will come up that you don't like, that you can't stand. He may say, I won't do it again, and he will do it again. You come home and she's not cooked the meal and you're upset, but you have to learn to forgive. So forgiveness is key. The second thing is overlooking. You have to know what is important and what is not.
Okay.
If you are going to fight and quibble over every little thing, there won't be any time left for quality time.
Okay.
So overlook the trivials. You come home and your meal is not ready. Find something else to do whilst you get
waiting.
Waiting.
Yeah.
Or you come home and you have to dish your meal. Don't get upset. So there's some men who are so traditionally wired that once his wife does not serve him, he's not going to eat. Guy, that's a trivial thing. Go serve yourself and eat. And whilst you're eating, have some funny or interesting conversation. The third thing is that you must overlap. You know, everybody is not a perfect person. So he leaves his clothes on the floor, pick it up and put it in the wardrobe.
Okay.
She cleans the dishes and maybe doesn't pack them. Go overextend yourself and pack them. Or he uses your car and then doesn't buy fuel. Don't come complaining. The next time you use his, don't retaliate. Buy fuel and put it in. Overextend yourself, because these little overextensions is what creates the harmony and the love and the bond. So if you want to live by the rule and measure every bit of action or inaction, you will not thrive. So overextend yourself. Be there for him. Be there for her. Let her feel your kindness. You are coming in, you know that she's just having a meal. She didn't have water. Just go to the fridge, get a glass or a mug of water. Just come and put by her side. That's overextending yourself. That little sweetness. Oh, thank you. You're coming home. You want to bring a little gift. Just overextend yourself. Bring it. And the last one is tolerate. And that is this point 3. Tolerate. So F-O-O-T. Forgive, overlook, overlap, and tolerate. You cannot have a meaningful and a fruitful relationship if you cannot tolerate. There's some people who cannot stand snoring. There's some people who cannot stand boring guys. But if your guy is boring, once you get to know how he is, you have to tolerate his boredom and then begin to find interesting and creative ways to make him gradually interesting.
Okay.
And I want to say here that marriage is a journey. It's not a sprint. Marriage is not meant to be a 2-day wonder. It's meant to last a lifetime. So if you have that on, then it's going to help you on. So that's point number 3, acknowledge the differences and learn to converge.
Super. Number 4.
Number 4 is learn to communicate effectively. It then said that meanings are in people. And so if somebody gets up and says, oh, I feel like today we need to spend quality time together. Get to understand what they mean by quality time. Somebody, their quality time is just 30 minutes sitting and chatting. Somebody, their quality time is actually sitting and watching a movie together, which is like an hour and a half.
Okay.
So don't just assume that quality time, as she said it, means what you think.
Understand it to be.
Yes.
Okay.
So oftentimes we get misunderstood because effective communication is sending an information, the person receiving that information appropriately and giving you the appropriate feedback. So if you don't get the appropriate feedback, you have not actually communicated. And oftentimes we don't communicate, we give information. So learn to communicate effectively. And as you learn to know your strengths, your weaknesses, as you get to know your temperaments, those who are hot-tempered are extroverted and will say anything anyhow and not care about the effect. If you find out that your spouse is measured and she's the introverted kind who is sensitive, you don't go shooting your words at the least opportunity.
Yeah.
So you need to know that, okay, for such a person, let me take in a deep breath, let me calm down, let me talk to her at a more appropriate time because I didn't like the way she treated me this morning, rather than going shooting. So the 4th thing we are saying that learn to communicate effectively and get feedback. Feedback is gracious. If your wife tells you, look, I don't see you these days, or you're coming home late always from work, don't take that for granted. That's feedback she's giving you. She's trying to communicate what she feels to you. And you know, communication has the verbal and the non-verbal.
Okay.
And so sometimes you can just see by her posturing that she's unhappy. Drill down and find out, why is my wife unhappy? What is making her upset? Or she can't sit in the car and then you see that she's cheered herself
away from you. Yeah.
Away from you.
Yeah.
And they're trying to have a conversation. She's just giving you short, cold answers. You should know that something is wrong. Maybe that's not the time to find out what is wrong because you know she's upset. Make time, close early, come home. When you come home, maybe bring a little gift or something, and then just say, hi, sweetheart, can we have a conversation? I saw this morning that everything was not right. Initially, they will say everything is fine, but you need to drill down. Then begin to find out. Once you show appreciation, once you show respect for that person, then they would unwind. Then by so doing, you get to know better. You know, this get the option of knowing your spouse and knowing yourself. It's a cycle. It's a journey. So you get to know more. There may be something you said or did not do that upset her. Then you begin to work on it. You get me? So that's number 4.
Number 4. Number 5.
Number 5 is know the why.
Know the why.
Yes.
Okay.
WHY.
Okay.
You know your why for getting married, which is your intention and your expectation, may be different from his why. That's why I'm not saying know your why. Because somebody is coming into a marriage because she can see that you're a big fixer and you solve her financial problems. But marriage is not just about solving somebody's financial problems.
Yeah.
So if you want to thrive in the marriage, you must know the why of marriage. Marriage is meant for a number of factors. It's meant for you to be companions, for you to procreate, for you to be supportive of each other, for you to have your shared dreams and aspirations, for you to nurture each other to be a better of yourselves. So all these things are the whys of marriage. So you must know that why, not just your why. Because your why may be very parochial, your why may be very selfish, your why may be just skewed to you deriving all the benefits you want. And if you do so in any marriage, it will not be a very meaningful one. So know the essence of marriage, which is the why. And then now realign your actions, your thoughts, and your values towards that. And we come in as we are, but we must not stay in as we are.
Okay.
Nobody can have a meaningful marriage if they choose to be just who they are, or choose to remain who they are when they came in.
Okay.
And not everything may be wrong or sinful, but not everything may be helpful. So there will always be the need for adjustment. So when you know the why, it gives you more strength and an impetus to try and realign so that the overall good of the union is established.
So you have know yourself, know your spouse, acknowledge differences, and of course you did the foot under that. Forgive, overlook, overlap, and tolerate. Learn effective communication, and number 5, know the why. What's number 6 and
number
7?
Number 6 is a crucial one too. Win your habits.
Win your habits.
Yes.
Okay.
We are creatures of habits. See, your thoughts lead to your actions. Your actions lead to your habits. And your habits determine your character. You know, in his book, the 5 needs, his needs, her needs, Dr. Willard Harley talks about various aspects of the man's needs, the woman's needs. And one of his phrases, he talks about lies. He talks about 3 kinds of lies. He says the born liar, the avoid trouble liar, and the protector liar.
Okay.
The born liar is the one who has lied from his infancy to become an adult. That is a habit. That is a bad habit. If you must win your habit, you must win over being a liar. There's somebody who's stealing and picked little things that even when their husbands keep their money, they find out where the money is, they take their money and lie they didn't take it. I mean, some ladies. That's a bad habit. Win that habit. Somebody has been chasing women all his life and can't really keep his zip on.
Yeah.
And so though he's married and says, I'm committed to you, he's still going flirting. And anything in skirt or trousers, he can't stand.
After,
So that's a bad habit. You need to win that.
Okay.
And a host of other things. Somebody's a poor manager of money, and so he's always in debt because he's overspending and does not know how to manage his budget. That's a bad habit. The positive habits, you accentuate, you keep doing them. The bad habits you need to deal with. And it's good to be open. You know, Scripture says that both the man and woman were naked and not ashamed. That means that you must come clean. They say that he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. You must be able to let your spouse know who you are, what you are struggling with, what you are dealing with.
Full
but
disclosure.
oftentimes, you know, we have what they call the monkey nuts. It's said that in some environments to catch the monkeys, you know the monkeys lack nuts. So they put the containers, they make small holes within them, and put nice nuts in them. So the monkeys come in, they love the nuts. The containers are fried big when they are weighty. So they put their hands in the container. You know, once there's nothing in their hands, it goes right
it
through.
Fits
they
through
pick
the
the
hole.
nut. Now they have the nut in their hands, but once it's a clenched fist, the fist cannot come out. And then they often have it, and the weight of the container is such that they cannot run with it. And they are caught between leaving the nuts they love
behind,
and then bringing out their fist so that they will be saved. And then the hunters will just come with a club and hit them and kill them. Bad habits destroy beautiful relationships. Bad habits destroy quality lives. We can take the example of Epstein or whatever. He's not a millionaire, he's a billionaire. He was found hanging when his prison cell dead. I'm sure there are all kinds of theories about whether he's been killed or he committed it. But this is a billionaire who didn't check his bad habits. Sleeping with minors and doing all those orgies and stuff. What does it cost him? His life. His money couldn't save him. And there are 2 of them, you know. So, and there are lots of such stories. So, if you want to have a thriving or a successful marriage, for that matter, win your habits. From the little ones to the big ones.
Okay, so let's wrap it up with the last one.
The last one is do your best always.
Do your best always.
Make your spouse your number 1 priority. Show affection, show consideration, show kindness. Be there when you can. When you cannot, express why you cannot. Give her quality time. You know, Guy Chapman talks about the 5 love languages. You know, so you can show somebody loves gifts. Give them lovely gifts. A gift does not have to be expensive to be lovely.
Okay.
You need to discern part of knowing her, you know what she needs, what he wants, and surprise them with those lovely gifts. Secondly, spend quality time, whatever that means to them, not what it means to you.
To you,
Understand what quality time means to them and give that to them. Also, be affectionate and physical for those who love to be hugged, for those who like romantic walks. Do that for them. And once you do these little things, they all add up to spicing up the relationship. You can also go on to encourage them with words of affirmation, words of expressions of love, text, a little card here, a little note there, just to make them know you care. And then you can also go on to, as it were, build a bond that makes them feel accepted and loved, and serve them in the ways that they love. And once you do that, you realize that you have a wonderful relationship, and no matter what comes up, because once you are 2 different people, issues will come up. But once you are 2 different people and you do these things, you thrive.
Thank you.
You have a wonderful relationship.
All right. Thank you very much, Michael Mensah. Michael Mensah is a family life advocate and a counselor, and he's also one of the co-hosts of Fam Life on Citi 97.3 FM. We're going to come back. Keyboard Idol Conversation is coming up. Don't go anywhere.